Welcome to yours and mine favorite podcast in the world that discusses all things wrestling. We discuss pay-per-views, mostly WWE, but we'll span the globe in the wrestling world. But anyway, we're back after a hiatus. We're going to discuss, do some reviews, and as normal, discuss some topics. So let's get into DDT Wrestling Podcast.
All right, so we want to start off with WrestlePalooza. Obviously, it was a big deal for WWE to basically do this deal with ESPN. And we had our opinions on, just WWE and all of the big marketing deals that they've been doing on the last installment. But today we just wanted to give our review for the actual show. So before I actually get into like the matches itself, ESPN, like one of the critics on ESPN actually gave the show a C and basically said that it didn't meet the expectations that I guess they had for the show, which was very interesting to me. I did not expect ESPN to kind of release like a full article on like, yeah, this is where we thought WWE kind of messed up because like that's you guys are like in a deal together. That was interesting. And then one of the biggest criticisms that I did notice for this show in general was the runtime versus the in ring and the payoff that you got as a consumer. So we were kind of doing the math, and that show ran for about 3 hours, 3 hours and some change. And they had 5 matches booked for that show, and to include ring entrances, and everybody knows that these people be taking their time for their ring entrances. The actual in ring for all five for all five of these matches totaled to about an hour, maybe a little over an
Wow.
hour for being generous. So 1/3 of the total runtime was actual matches in comparison to the 3 hour runtime and filled with commercials and advertisements and everything like that. And when you compare it to their biggest competition, all they do is wrestling, all they do is that in ring. So that was one of the biggest criticisms that they had for the overall show.
Got a point to that. Like, as far as ESPN giving it a C, and I kind of like the idea, although it maybe goes against their best interest, but given their honest opinion of what
Yeah.
they thought they got. Because, I enjoyed, there was definitely some highlights of the match of that pay-per-view or PLE.
Hmm.
And some meh, okay. I felt like that whole event was very inconsequential, just
Yeah.
like they used to do with Saudi. We're not really gonna do anything storyline wise so much. I mean, they had the Punk and AJ
Hmm.
mixed tag. The only thing that went forward really was the women's world title, and
Hmm.
I felt like they, for lack of a better term, somewhat mailed that pay-per-view in. They did not go all out for ESPN.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think that C is kind of well deserved. I
Yeah.
think it's a C.
I
There's nothing, like I said, the mix. We're gonna get into our reviews, but there were some fun matches, but it just was there.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And also, like, if I'm comparing this to like what they did for that Netflix deal, they outdid themselves for that Netflix
Oh my
situation.
goodness,
So for
they
this
pulled
one,
everybody out the
they
hat.
they put everybody and their brother on that Netflix and the kitchen sinks on that Netflix show. But for this one, they didn't really do the same. So
We got our money.
we got our money for that Netflix deal. But was that ESPN worth that $30 that some people had to spend? I don't know. I don't think so. And honestly, even Stephanie McMahon herself said that you should VPN that, which they tried to retract, but that would have been well worth it in comparison to having to do the whole 30 bucks a month deal.
WWE doesn't care.
They
They
don't
already
care.
got their deal.
That's true. They already did it. So who cares? They already got their money. But they started off the show with my goat, who's not pictured behind me, John Cena and Brock Lesnar. So I figured that this match would have started or ended the show because you don't have John Cena or Brock Lesnar in the middle of any kind of PLE. And the what I titled this was 8 minutes I could have used for anything else. I was very disappointed, and this was the shortest match of the entire night. I was very disappointed in this match because following Cena kind of flipping that switch and turning back to a face, he had a 5-star match with Cody Rhodes, a 5-star match with Logan Paul, and a 5-star match on a regular Raw with Sami Zayn, or Raw or SmackDown. I forgot which one. I think it was a Raw. But a 5-star match on a regular show with Sami Zayn. He was on a streak of having these 5-star matches, and then they decided, you know what? We're just gonna do the squash. That is boring writing, especially for a final farewell tour. And I understand that the purpose of this is very likely that they're gonna make Brock Lesnar John Cena's last match, and it'll be that John Cena finally overcomes. Even if it's not his last match, they're gonna see each other again, because there's no way John Cena goes out that way. They got the kids crying, they got the people shocked in the audience, they got what they wanted out of it, but in my opinion, I felt that that match could have gone a lot better. They tried to emulate the first time that John Cena and Brock Lesnar had that kind of like squash match, but this one didn't hit the same because we already saw
Right.
that. We already saw that, and there also is the factor where Brock Lesnar still hasn't explained himself. So you have the lack of explanation, the coming in during his farewell tour, the final matches, the final dates that we get to see him, and he just squashes him. And one of the interesting things that I found, I saw a lot of other people like with the reviews that they were saying in articles that were saying that up until the actual like night of the match, they had like more of a story, more of a match with substance, where John Cena would have been the one to go over, and that decision was changed like in on a whim before the actual show, like moments before the show. I don't know if that's true, but it just felt very weird. Like the way that match was booked just didn't feel like how it was supposed to go. It felt rushed. It felt lazy, and I really do feel like it was a waste of one of the last 2.5 days that John Cena has to wrestle.
Can you imagine if that was the main event of that show?
Oh my, what dumpster fire. That would have gotten a D and not a C if that was the main event.
Now, I think the logic, well, I don't know the logic of the squash, but maybe it goes to like what you said. The storyline is John Cena overcoming Brock in his last match, which I
Mm-hmm.
just, whatever. The star power for ESPN. That was one of the first things when he came, but he's one of the first people to come back, to get the match booked for WrestlePalooza. Star power, that's all that was. It wasn't getting The Rock or anybody, Stone Cold or anybody. Rock is a star. So I think they had to bring out somebody for that match. I honestly have nothing for this squash. Like yeah, that last match where Brock like he hit him with Suplex City like 50 times. At least Cena got like some form of like legit offense in there. Like even if Brock was gonna win, they could have done a match like he had with Daniel Bryan at the time. That match was so good, but it is Daniel Bryan.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was just utterly disappointed in the way they decided to go that route, especially when the guy has like 5 matches left or 5 dates left.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah, it was, yeah, thumbs down, major thumbs down for that. And also, like, after the squash, some people were like, okay, he got squashed like that. He couldn't kick out. He got absolutely obliterated, but he doesn't get any help to the back. He doesn't get any assistance from any refs to the back.
yeah,
There's
they,
no further
they need
payoff.
to
Like,
sell
oh,
it.
he's hurt. He needs to sell it. We don't know if he's gonna be able to come back. He just gets up and goes on his own. And it's like moments like these really do make the craft of wrestling not look real. And it's like, come on, guys, you have to sell this a little bit more if you want to go this route. But
Yeah,
I guess we'll see what the ultimate payoff is. I do hope that, if Brock Lesnar ultimately is the last match for Cena. I hope it's not, but I hope whether he's the last match or whether he's like the second to last or whatever, I do hope that there is payoff in that match and it ends up being an actually good match, facial expressions, storytelling,
All of it.
something more. It can't be
Yelling,
the standard
crying.
match. It has to be, we need to see those peacemaker acting chops. We need to see more, last man standing. I don't know, something.
Yeah.
I need something. But following that, I believe after that it was the Usos versus the Bronze, that tag match. Which, to be honest, I had low expectations for this match. I thought it was just gonna be like a regular Raw feeling kind of match because they have recycled those four over and over and over again for the end of Raw many, many times. But they added a little bit of a twist, and that was LA Knight being the ref, which then opened the door for this match to be more of like a, well, I don't care what happens because I hate all four of you or three of you kind of thing. So that opened the door for weapons, opened the door for like no countouts or disqualifications or anything like that, which made for a more exciting match. I mean, we know all four of them are very like compatible because they've had so many matches in the ring before. What I am happy is the end result. Finally, the Bronze actually win. I feel like for these past few matches, the Bronze have always lost, but then they're like, "Whoa, we technically won because we took them out of commission and we beat them up after." You need wins. You need wins to actually matter. If we're speaking in general, and I think if we want to take them seriously as a tag faction or whatever, and we want to take them more seriously, they want to enter into the title picture, which I think they should. They need to start getting wins, not just oh yeah we beat them up and we did the spear tsunami combo after they beat us. Like I'm glad that happened. Jay actually got busted open, so that added for a little bit more of a dramaticness to the match. That wasn't intentional, of course, but that definitely added more drama to the match. But yeah, I mean, it went how I wanted it to, and I thought they added a an exciting element to it because LA Knight was the ref.
Um, I mean that. Well, that I guess I stand corrected. That was the other thing that did kind of have consequences going out of WrestlePalooza.
Mhm.
LA Knight and Jey Uso, they can wherever their feud is going to go
Mhm.
because it seems like they're going to carry that on, and the little heelish Jay.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, you're right. Like I don't know why. If you want to say that the Vision is taking over or they're the
Mhm.
future, put the titles on them. It makes more sense than to have it on Judgment Day. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what that's about. They don't even defend them. Like let them hold. At least the Vision looked so dominant,
Mhm.
but Jimmy and Jay got chemistry with each other, of course. So they're gonna definitely have like good tag team matches with basically anybody. So um yeah, it was a good match. It was a good
Mhm.
match. The right people went over.
Mhm.
Um, they moved story with LA Knight. Um, he had some funny moments of just kind of letting them do what they wanted to do. So I
Mhm.
like that. So
Mhm.
yeah, that was a thumbs up for me.
Mhm. Yeah, same. Now the next match, which I feel most would agree was the match of the night, Io Sky versus Stephanie Vaquer. They finally had a match where they could finish it. They finally had a fulfilling match, and our predictions for this was having like shenanigans and interferences with the Kabuki Warriors and potential for that, which ultimately paid off in the Raw following
Yeah.
WrestlePalooza. But honestly speaking, seeing how that match carried out, I am very happy that there were no interferences. We were deprived of actually seeing an Io Sky and Stephanie Vaquer match be like fulfilled to the end and seeing the winner between those two without any kind of like altercations or anything like ruining it. And we finally got that. They gave us a WrestleMania quality match on a WrestlePalooza. This was the match of the night. That was wrestling. That is exactly how you book two faces. When you want to have two faces go against each other, two people that are over, that is how you have them wrestle. That is how you have them, go against each other. That is how you book that. And, I would have been satisfied with either one of them winning, but I am very happy that Stephanie Vaquero ultimately was the one who took the gold. I could watch that final sequence of events over and over and over
Yeah.
again. Io
So
Sky
good.
missing with her moonsault, getting hurt. Stephanie Vaquer then doing her variation of the Phoenix Splash, which landed perfectly 10 out of 10, no notes. that was a storybook ending to a match. And Io Sky was low key kind of smiling, getting pinned. You could kind of see her like looking happy. I mean, Io Sky is always smiling, but
Yeah.
that was awesome. It was so great, and yeah, that was the match of the night for me.
Um, Match of the night. I mean, really good. Man, that mixed tag was so fun to me. I like to laugh and smile when I watch matches.
Mhm.
But like those two women went I like when matches have that desperation feel
Mhm.
and like you knew the stakes was the women title, but they was like putting it all in.
Mhm.
So good. Definitely one of the matches, um, like I don't know, of the year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I definitely put it up there. But yeah, I really like the match. I think I wanted to see Stephanie like go over there. We've, maybe just a new fresh face, fresh
Mhm.
feuds. And I like that, like you said, I like the way they did the whole Kabuki Warriors heel turn, and it
Mhm.
was like perfectly done, having like Kyrie all emotional and
Mhm.
she didn't want to do it, but it was perfect. But we're getting in the raw.
Mhm.
But yeah, good touch by, we wanted to see Oscar come out, but no shenanigans. Straight up, two
Mhm.
people fighting desperately for the title.
Mhm.
Big thumbs up for that match.
Mhm. Now onto your favorite and probably the most people's fan favorite match, the mixed tag between CM Punk and AJ Lee, the returning AJ Lee, and Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins. Now, honestly, big kudos to Becky and Seth because they have really sold the return of Punk and AJ so freaking well and just made you crave them more. They always do the work. You know, people can say whatever they want about Seth and any of his title reigns and Becky and any of her title reigns, but one of the things you cannot say about them is that they don't do the work for the other person. They always do. They always have. They always did, and I feel like that's just going to continue. And I think that this feud is just so awesome. It's just so fitting. And we knew exactly what was going to happen as soon as Becky Lynch inserted herself or got inserted into this whole vision thing. We just knew that April Mendez was going to come back, and they did it exactly how we wanted it. This mixed tag was very exciting. They did the exact taunting esque things that we expected, and they made it even more exciting when they got out of the ring and did a lot of the hot spots. Of course, AJ still got it. I mean, look at her; she never lost it. Of course, she still got it. But yeah, they did freaking awesome in that match. It was very exciting. There were many moments that were funny, many moments where you're like, they're kind of killing it. Are they gonna put Punk and AJ over? And then ultimately they did. So that was the right decision. And I think that this now opens the door for AJ and Becky to have a one-on-one for the IC title. And then of course CM Punk is inevitably going to have his revenge match against Seth. I don't know when. That could be something that they just decide to keep for WrestleMania. I mean, WrestleMania is kind of a bit away, so I don't know if they want to wait that long. But yeah, I mean, this match was very exciting, and honestly, literally what Ava said last installment, we dreamed, we prayed for times like this to rhyme like this, in the words, not in the words of Meek Mill, she already did that last time, but in the words of Drew McIntyre, I prayed for this and it happened.
And it
I
happened.
prayed for this and it happened. It was a great match.
Fun, fun match. Look,
Mm-hmm.
I'll start off by saying I love obnoxious heels.
Mm-hmm.
Becky Lynch she was definitely on top of her game as the man, but man, I am loving this heel run with Becky Lynch.
Mm-hmm.
Just the quoting the Sports
What
Illustrated,
Illustrated says it, ESPN says it.
and she's
The
the
best.
GOAT right now.
She's the
I
best.
love it. There was a moment outside the ring when after they lost and she's sitting and leaning against the barricade and she's like, get that camera away from me. Like I love those little things.
Mhm.
And it's the little things in wrestling that I always pay attention to that I just like to see that not necessarily part of the script or whatever, but the little nuances that you do, whether it's a crazy facial expression, and both of them are great. She and Seth
Mhm.
are just great at where they are. Like I don't think people talk enough about Seth Rollins being one of the greatest of all times.
Yes.
But standing across a lot from a lot of some of people's greatest that are going today is Seth Rollins.
Uh,
So it takes two to tango, and that guy brings it every match. I definitely props to him in that match, but it was really fun. They had some really cool story spots. They told a story. They
mhm.
told a story, and you know, um, CM Punk had the hot tag to AJ Lee,
Mhm.
and they did their thing. I'm definitely definitely that match. Sometimes I don't like mixed tags because of the whole thing of when
Yeah.
when a person tags and the women have to get in.
Gotta
Like
get out. Yeah.
sometimes I just think that ruins continuity. But they
Mhm.
did a good job, and definitely you had CM Punk put Becky Lynch in the Boston Crab or the Sharpshooter actually. And so they had some interaction. I mean, he had to get his payback. She slapped him in the
That's
face
like 70
50
times.
times.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my favorite match. The
Mhm.
best match of the night was EO and,
Mhm.
and Stephanie. But my
Mhm.
favorite match was definitely the mixed tag.
Yeah, I really like what you said about Seth, about how you're like, it takes two to tango. Seth has been across from Cody Rhodes. He gets the alley oop for that. Seth has been across from CM Punk. He gets the alley oop for that. Seth has been across from Roman Reigns multiple times. He gets the alley oop from that. Honestly, some of my favorite moments in Seth Rollins' career is him beating Brock Lesnar. Like, he is so freaking good, and it's
He
hard to
is.
have a bad match with him on top of that. It's not just about his storytelling and his feuds, but his in ring is truly unmatched. So yeah, I am very happy with him as the face. And honestly, I mean, obviously this is kind of like future opinions and stuff for future installments, but I am looking forward to that crown jewel match that he'll have with Cody, and I hope that they make the right
Yeah,
choice.
yeah,
But so then the main event. I am very happy that they did make this the main event because it was for a title. I was afraid that they were going to kind of break the rules and do the whole Cena and Brock thing or the mixed tag, but a main event is supposed to be your main most important title of your brand. That makes sense for the main event. However, I think after the last few PLEs, throughout this year, we're just so used to surprises and shenanigans happening that this one just went normally and ended clean. Um, and honestly, I was surprised in the moment. Um, you know, our opinions or our predictions last time, we were kind of hoping for a little bit of a shakeup. Drew winning. Now, obviously, that would have definitely made a little bit for an awkward booking for Crown Jewel, considering Drew is a heel and so is Seth. But it would have been interesting to see that. And on top of the point that I made about Cena and Brock having kind of like different opinions on how the match would end, this one was another thing too. There were plenty of articles and reviews where people were saying that Cody, Drew, and Randy collectively presented ideas about how the match should go, which all of them had Drew going over by the fault of Randy Orton making some kind of mistake with interference. Um, I think it just has to do with, like, again, we have been so used to having surprises in the main
right.
event and just having something happen before that Paul Levesque sticker pops up, that this one, just them doing like kind of a by the numbers main event and having your title holder retain, it was shocking. Now, of course, they did the spot where Drew was going to try to kill him again, and he like broke his leg in a sink, and then that kind of messed things up. So that was believable. That was very believable. But I was surprised. I thought there was going to be some kind of interference, but I mean, I guess with the news of Drew having, movie obligations, they decided, this is going to be the route that we go. And I mean, even on the Raw following WrestlePalooza, they kind of just squashed that Cody and Drew situation. Not that they can't revisit it, but
But
they brought back Jacob Fatu, and Cody is kind of on to focusing on Seth Rollins, and then the Crown Jewel match. So they kind of just, I guess, not necessarily closed the book, but ended that chapter in the Cody and Drew feuding. And I mean, I wasn't mad at the match, but I think, again, I've just been so used to surprises happening at the end of shows that this one was just kind of like, oh wow, like they just did like a regular kind of main event. They didn't add any extra surprises.
yeah, it was by the numbers Cody Rhodes world title match.
Yeah.
Now, I am definitely a proponent to the world title being the main event.
Mhm.
But in this circumstance, what was the most talked about match? What was probably the most hyped match? Was probably that mixed tag.
Mhm.
You probably would have had a better um taste in your mouth going out of the pay-per-view if that was the main event than than a match, than the main event. Like, because it was just there.
Mhm.
It was just there. And I think it kind of brought the show down.
Yeah.
Like, just think about match placement. Match
That's
placement can be
so
everything.
important.
Either that or Io and Stephanie Vaquer. One of those two main event changes that appropriately graded pay-per-view by ESPN. I
Mhm.
think it's a C.
Yeah, same.
But the perspective changes if
That's
one of those two
true.
matches were the main event.
Mhm.
And I guess it's like you can't tell how a match is gonna. I think you can. You knew that match was gonna be crazy and shenanigans with those four people in a ring, but it
Mhm.
was a by the numbers Cody match. Just
Mhm.
it was there. It wasn't bad. It wasn't good. It was just a match. It was just
Yeah.
the champion retained.
Mhm.
They got a way to get him off TV.
Mhm.
Drew off TV. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, because honestly, if that Io and Stephanie match or the mixed tag ended, it probably could have received a B minus and not a C, or even a B, just
Yeah.
because of like what you're left with, honestly.
Match placement. Match
Um,
placement.
and even like WrestleMania, the way night one ended versus the way night two ended, vastly different taste
Yeah.
in your mouth. Like a lot of people gave WrestleMania an overall score lower than they would have if, the opening of night two or the ending of night one had been like the final match to like actually end the show. Um, and then you have PLE's like Evolution that had a perfect flow, perfect number of matches, which were seven, which they haven't done again, by the way. They have yet to do another show besides WrestleMania to have more than six matches, but they had seven matches for Evolution, and the placement was beautiful. It was flawless.
Gotta have
Flawless.
all those commercials.
Yeah. Oh my. Oh, that was another thing that I talked about. Just like another soapbox rant, and then we'll get into No Mercy. Seeing on ESPN the fade to black to go into the commercials, and then that little clock counter in the corner. Start the countdown from 5:00 and go to 4:59. 4. I couldn't believe my eyes. I'm like, I'm watching 5 minutes. That's like I could go watch an episode of SpongeBob and then come back,
How
and they
about
still
that?
probably wouldn't even be like back to in ring. Like the next person would still be doing their intro. That's ridiculous. I can support the grind and the stride and the drive for the money and everything like that, but 5 minute commercials, 1 hour of in ring, 3 hours of runtime,
Insane.
please.
That's what makes it a C. That brings it
That's
down. Like,
exactly.
I'm like,
That's
come
what brings
on.
it down. That's what brings it down. And you kind of made a little bit of a joke about All Out. All Out had 5 hours of runtime and 13 matches. And if we compare the in ring versus commercials, AEW loves to do picture in picture, and I can get behind a good picture in picture. ESPN did not do that. They did full 5 minute run long commercials. So I hope for the next one they do less. I don't know.
And that's the thing about like AEW, they have a lot of matches because the thought process is there is going to be something for everybody.
Everybody, yeah.
And they do have a lot of stars, whether they bring somebody in temporarily from Japan or ring.
Mhm.
So they do. So
Mhm.
that's definitely a thing I give them.
Yes.
But yeah, see, I
Mhm.
think that was a,
Yeah.
an
That's
appropriate grade. I agree with that.
Yeah, that's definitely a C. Now on to No Mercy, which honestly I feel like the way the development brand does their PLEs is the way that the main roster should start emulating, which I'll get into. But No Mercy, they opened the show with Javon Evans versus Josh Briggs. I hope I'm not, it's Josh Briggs, right?
Yeah.
Um, they opened the show with that. They have been feuding, back and forth. And, honestly, it's Javon Evans, right? The guy who does the Cirque du Soleil, all the, big like tricks versus the guy who does the big man style wrestling. That's always gonna mesh very well and go
Yeah.
together like a puzzle piece. That was a great opener. I thought it was a very exciting opener. Javon Evans, the way I feel when I see Javon Evans wrestling and opening up a match or show is the same feeling I get when I used to watch like the Dudley Boys and Edgy Christian and the Hardy Boys open up PLEs for like the old early 2000s, 90s, like, or I guess at the time they were pay per views. The exciting opener, which does all the cool spots and everything like that. You're like, whoa, like this is the perfect way to open the show. Javon Evans is that guy that just gives that just exciting in ring. It's insane. It's just so awesome, and you really, and I mean this kind of gets into like one of my topics, but you really are seeing the bright future that he has. He's so young, and he does not have any flaws with that in ring that he has. Some people might say that he might overdo it, but personally I like it. Okay, it is giving kind of like Kofi Kingston as Montez Ford esque kind of wrestling. I would also say a little dash of Carmelo Hayes, except Javon Evans is just super tall and super lanky. So any moves that are done to him just look that much more aggressive. He makes everybody who fights him look so good because he
Yeah.
won't just sell it. He'll do like 75 rolls and he'll be like, oh my God, or he'll jump up so high. It's insane. So yeah, that match, it was exactly perfect. They fit like a puzzle piece. Like I think they've had like a match before, but just not on a PLE. So yeah, it was inevitable. They've been instigating back and forth, and yeah, this is exactly how it's supposed to go. A lot of false endings. It was so good. It was so good.
Yeah. He definitely man, like you said, perfect way to start off because he just has a naturally exciting style. I don't know how he gets the ups he gets. It's like different from everybody else's ups.
Yeah.
Like he does have a natural ability to just get in there and make the other person look good. He's absolutely the future of the company.
Mhm.
You know, I won't criticize Mike Ward, but I mean, he is absolutely the future. The right person went over.
Mhm.
Personally, I thought it'd have been great if he was the one to end Obafemi, but we'll get into that. But
Mhm.
yeah, he's the man.
Yeah.
Right person, of course, went over. They're trying with Briggs. They are trying.
Yeah.
Um, just a good big guy. I think he needs to find his character.
I agree. Yeah, there's so many people that are like Josh Briggs in across all brands, but he can't stand out, because there's just so many people that have
Right.
that kind of vibe in my opinion. Maybe he would do better in a group. I don't know. I mean, I can appreciate him, doing his own solo work because he's done a good job, but I just feel like if we're comparing, his character work to Josh or Javon Evans, then Javon Evans is going to be the one that stands out. And I mean, as far as the micro goes, Javon Evans, I think he's like 20. He talks exactly like his age. I'm going to be honest. I'm
He does.
22.
He
Like,
does.
I
Right.
know, like, I see it, like, He talks exactly like his age, like you'd expect him. So I do feel like as he continues, those promos will mature a little bit. But I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like the little bro esque kind of promos he does because it is funny. Like when you're hearing Oba and Trick in the ring, and he's like, "Y'all are goofy as hell." Like it's funny hearing that sometimes. And it does bring in those younger audiences too.
You do have a point about that because that is the target audience that they
Yeah,
want.
yeah,
They don't want me. They want my money because
yeah,
I have more money than their
yeah,
target audience, but they definitely gotta get the future going.
yeah.
So yeah, I definitely yeah, he is definitely speaking to you and the younger fans.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Next was Sol Ruka and Jada Parker for the Speed Champion. So originally this was supposed to be Lady Reed, but she could not compete because she had beat Candice LeRae to do the Speed Champion, but she couldn't compete, so they replaced her with Jada Parker, which was interesting. I don't know if Candice LeRae wasn't available, but I thought that the second runner up should be the one to like be able to do it. Um, but the Speed Champion, 5 minute match, this isn't really like I feel like speed matches aren't really like Jada Parker's kind of wrestling style, but I do feel like she did a good job with this match. Um I feel like yeah, drawn out matches that are more like aggressive and like that's what she does, like her feud with
Right,
Levice and that match she had with Lash. Definitely they took their time with like the pacing of that, but for speed matches they're a lot quicker. Very up the alley of Sol Ruka. I was curious to see how they would do this. Zarya's still there at Sol Ruka's side, so still playing like the cheerleader slash instigator. Lash Legend came out to play spoiler. She took a spear from Zarya, but that ultimately ruined Jada Parker's chances of getting the Speed Champion. I mean, there was even one moment where Jada was like just marinating outside the ring and doing some taunting. We're like, Jada, this ain't no regular match. Like, you want to win this title, you gotta hurry up. So they kind of did play into the whole like this isn't Jada Parker's forte.
right.
They're obviously going to be continuing this feud between Jada and Lash, so I'm be interested to see, what that looks like, especially with this whole like announcement from the general manager Ava about Invasion and TNA versus NXT people. So definitely be interested in that. But Soul Ruka was the one who ultimately won. I expected that. I thought that it was Soul Ruka's Soul Snatcher is such a hot finisher and she just manages to always get you by surprise when she does it. Anytime like a person could be re-entering into the ring, she can do it then. A person does a move and she takes a move and she instantly jumps on the rope and she can do it then. Her agility is ridiculous.
It
So
is.
she's a double champ at the moment right now, but I am very excited to see when she gets that call up because SmackDown is the brand for her. She belongs in that show. A lot of people do complain about the distribution of women's stars on Raw versus SmackDown. So I'm like, I think when she gets the call up, she would work so freaking well on SmackDown,
There's,
honestly.
there's literally nobody for Julia right now,
I,
for that title. But yeah, I did find it odd that Parker, good on her,
right.
getting the pat on the back and said, "Hey, go. We need you to
Yeah.
step in." She got a match. She got to
Right.
be on
Right.
TV. So good for her. But yeah, it was odd, I thought.
Mhm.
But it was a solid um NXT match.
Yeah.
Solid NXT match. By the numbers, nothing crazy. We
Mhm.
got a Soul Snatcher and they
Mhm.
moved story, the
Yes.
Last Legend. So they got it all in. So good on them. Solid match.
Yes, exactly. Following that, we had the weapons cage match between Jordan Grace and Blake Monroe. It was funny. They kind of had like Barbie themed weapons. They had like the pink chair and the trash can with Monroe's face on it. It was kind of funny. Yeah, I mean, this match, I was very excited that they made it a gimmick match and not just a standard match.
Yeah.
Blake Monroe has been terrorizing Jordan Grace for a very long time, so it's about time that they actually were able to have some like a real brawl. I thought that for a PG show that's also the developmental brand, I thought that this weapons match in a cage was executed well. I thought like one of the main elements of this match was the storytelling with the facial expressions and everything like that, which if you saw Blake Monroe before she came to the WWE and you knew her as Mariah May, then you know one of the best feuds in AEW was between her as Mariah May and Toni Storm, which that storytelling, honestly, in my opinion, just unmatched. Like one of my favorite feuds in AEW. So you know that Blake Monroe was more than capable of really conveying a story. I think that her characterization that they have her, this kind of like princess, but also like a wolf in sheep's clothing and she's crazy. I think that it fits her very well. I am looking forward to see what her next feud will be. Personally, I think she's ready for the call up. I know she hasn't touched any of those titles in NXT yet, but I'm just ready to see her on the main roster because she just belongs. I feel like she would shake things up on SmackDown, and just make for a good monkey wrench in a lot of people's plans. I think she would be somebody who's great with the Money in the Bank. Like she would just be
Oh
somebody
my
who's
goodness.
very exciting as a heel and an instigator. I'm always biased to heels having the Money in the Bank. It's always more fun,
Yeah, it's
in
fun.
my
It's fun.
opinion. But yeah, I'm excited. I think it's time for Jordan Grace to re-enter herself into the title picture. I think she could be the one that ultimately beats JC Jane, which we'll get to that match at the end, or I guess forthcoming. But yeah, like I'm ready for Jordan Grace to enter into that title picture, and I don't know what's next for Blake Monroe, but I thought they had a great match together.
Yeah, she's just a star. I
Mhm.
mean, same thing for Jordan Grace, but Blake Monroe just looks like she looks like a champion.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'd probably be more satisfied with her with that title than, well,
It's
yeah.
we already know.
But yeah, that was it was another fun match.
Mhm.
I know the women were hurting after that
Yeah.
match,
Yeah.
but they both had it in them. They both brought it in that match. I really liked that match.
Yes.
I didn't know what to expect,
Mhm.
but yeah, they really brought it. I enjoyed it. Yeah, thumbs way up for that match. It'll
Yeah.
be interesting. I think yeah, Jordan Gray, they both need to be in a title picture somehow, but it will
Yeah.
be interesting. I could see maybe she's going after I guess maybe Blake goes after Sol Roca for that North
Mhm.
American, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. It'll
Yeah.
be interesting, but yeah, big fan of both of those two.
Yeah, you brought up a great point. I mean, I've had my phase on this podcast talking about Tiffany Stratton multiple times in a row. There's not going to be a part of me that doesn't love Tiffany Stratton. I give all my criticisms about the gimmick and everything like that. But I think the feeling that I'm getting from Blake Monroe is filling that void of that heel that Tiffany Stratton used to be, especially on NXT. Tiffany Stratton was a powerhouse heel on NXT. Those promos that she gave that would dig deep and cut deep into people. But I understand like Tiffany Stratton gave her 2 cents. She enjoys kind of, getting cheered and being able to do more gymnastics in the ring. And when you have your catchphrase and it sticks, that feeling as an entertainer is probably like no other. Like you're like, oh, they're repeating something I'm saying, like I'm getting over the fans. I can appreciate that. I really can. But there's just something about the cocky, full throttle heel that I'm getting from Blake Monroe that I'm not
Mhm.
getting from Tiffany Stratton. And I don't know, like, obviously, Tiffany Stratton taking that title from Nia Jax, she was inevitably the face in that. But there's just something about this, like, tweener kind of vibe that I'm getting from her
Yeah.
when she
I don't
stands
think I don't think she's not an effective face.
No,
It's just to
I
me, it's that
agree. Like
simple.
when she stands across from Nia Jax, she's the face. When she stands across from Jade Cargill, I don't see her as a face. That's just like the way that I look at it right now at this moment. But I mean, hey, like I still can't fault. She definitely she's been on the defense on that title, but I just think that seeing Blake Monroe here, I'm just like they're both of them they're kind of similar. They're kind of similar. I don't think they belong in the same brand because that's kind of dangerous unless they win a feud. But
Mm.
yeah, that I just get a lot of similarities with them and like their kind of gimmicks and the whole like Barbie vibe. So
Right.
we'll see. But yeah, I do hope that both Jordan Grace, getting back to the topic, I do hope that Jordan Grace and Blake Monroe both are done with their feud. They close that chapter and they go on to title matches. Um, Following that, we had Tavion Heights and Ethan Page in a match for the, I guess, North American or Canadian champion, whatever you want to call it. Um, yeah, I mean, they've been feuding for a while. Obviously, like the gimmick of like the cocky Canadian saying like, you know, anti-American things. It basically opens the door for anybody to come in and be that American patriot, and that's exactly what Tavion Heights is. I know he has a wrestling background, which is like really cool because it kind of adds to the whole like, yeah, he represented America and won
Right.
competitions and everything like that. Kind of like the Kurt Angle vibe. So Tavian Heights can go. He's very good in ring, and it's just something that we haven't seen when he was still a part of the No Quarter Catch crew. I kind of like to call him the Can I Borrow a Dollar crew, but when they split, seeing groups split, sometimes it gets you to be a little concerned. Can they handle not being in a group? But I feel that Tavion Heights and Miles Bourne have both been doing very well outside of that group, and I'm looking forward to what they have in store for them. I think Tavion Heights is ready for that title, but he didn't win that match. I thought that he had like Tavion Heights and Ethan Page, they're not really guys that do like the Cirque du Soleil stuff. They're more like in ring kind of wrestling, so they had
Right.
that I expected. But it was very exciting. It was more exciting than like the matches they had on the regular show. Like I thought they brought a little bit more heat to this one. But yeah, I mean Tavion Heights, he lost clean, and yeah, I think he lost clean. Or wait, maybe I don't know if Ethan tried to use the title to like hit his head or something like that. I forgot. Because I think he might have brought the title in the ring to like
Yeah,
distract
he
the
brought
ref or
it in,
something.
but I think he
Um,
won. He
like
won.
clean.
Yeah, I think he kicked him. Maybe did he kick him below the
Yeah,
belt?
yeah. I think he did that, and then he won clean. So well, clean technically, but yeah. So even Page won that. He still has that title on him. I still get the cravings of him getting the call up, but they want to keep that title on him because I guess it just opens the door for more feuds, which that's exactly what he's doing. But I mean, Tavion Heights lost. I'm not sure if that's their way of closing that chapter because after that match, Triple A star Dr. Wagner Jr. basically challenges Ethan Page, basically saying, I got my eye on you, like I'm watching, like watch your back, basically. So I'm like, are they opening the door for that feud to kind of start, like them having a one-on-one match because they've been kind of going back and forth. So I don't know if this is their way of saying, yeah, Tavion, this is it, or if they're like, hey, you might get another chance. But I mean, hey man, I just can't wait for Ethan to get the call up. Where does he fit right now? I don't know. I don't want there to be a situation where he's in catering because he got the call up at a time where it wasn't supposed to be. But I don't know what it is about me being like, he's ready to go. Like he's ready to go on
Yeah.
the main roster.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Tavion Heights got a chance to shine, in
Mhm.
that match. So in a way, he kind of got more over
Mhm.
by being able to shine in that match. But it's kind of that thing. Not that he's Ric Flair, but back in the day, people paid money to see Ric Flair get his ass kicked, and he was a champion.
Mhm.
And it's kind of the same thing. Like
Yeah.
Ethan Page is such a jerk, the whether it's the Canadian thing, the all ego
Mhm.
thing, you
Yeah.
want to see him get beat. He's
Mhm.
so good at that.
Yeah.
So they're gonna keep that title on him until there's a star, I guess that's ready to go there. They're really doing a good job, I think, with Miles
Mhm.
Bourne, um, as a guy. They're doing a good job with him.
Mhm.
So um, yeah, I mean the right person went over to keep that title. He just made it a custom belt.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
he's gonna keep that title. So yeah, I like that match. It was a by the numbers,
Yeah.
like he'll beat the up and coming guy.
Yep. Exactly. And then we had our women's our women's title match, JC Jane versus Lola Vice. Now, JC Jane had Fallon in her corner. And we recently got the news, I forgot her real name, but Jasmine Nix is no longer a part of Fatal Influence, which kind of opens the door for, what I think might happen based on the ending of this match. But JC Jane versus Lola Vice. Lola Vice had home field advantage, and her family was also in the audience. So people were like, oh, maybe she might win it in front of her family. Da, da, da. They don't like to do that anymore. They don't like the picturesque, hugging your family and crying when you're holding the title. They don't do that anymore. They're like, hey, if you're in the home field advantage, you're probably gonna lose, at this point, because how many stars have lost in front of their family and their friends and their loved ones. I thought this match was a really good match. Both of these ladies are not ladies that do a lot of the jumping off the rope. They have their signature moves that they do, but
Right.
if we're comparing to like your Sol Ruka or like your Kaylani Jordan, they're not doing like a lot of the jumping stuff off the rope. So they had a lot of, grapples and submissions, and they really turned up the heat when it came to like the striking in this match, because both of them have moves that are known for like basically striking when it comes to their finishers. Like Lola has that spinning back fist. JC Jane has that just like hard right punch. JC Jane also has that
Right.
like right
Super
flying
kick.
knee. Like, and then of course like Lola Vice has like her windmill kicks. Like they both are known for like their in ring like kind of like hard hitting fighting, and they really did sell this match for me. Um, I honestly speaking, I think this, outside of the Javon Evans and Josh Briggs match, this I think was my second favorite match, just because of
Really.
how much they sold it for me. Like they both did very well. And one of the things I want to bring up is that out of the three, when it came to JC Jane, Fallon, I think it's Fallon
Yeah.
Henley, and
Yeah.
then Jasmine Nix at the time, a lot of people consider JC Jane as the third wheel, which is why they kind of threw this wrench at us and said, yeah, she's going to be your title champion. She's going to be Stephanie Vaquer. Not on her own, but she still was the one who pinned Stephanie Vaquer. That's a big
Yeah.
freaking deal.
That's
And on
big.
top of that, she became a double champ and was holding the TNA Knockouts champ and the NXT Women's Champion at the same time. That was a big deal for JC Jane. So one of the things I can appreciate about her is that I really do feel like she was meeting the or exceeding the expectations that people had for her, because her promos are good. It doesn't feel like she doesn't
Very
feel like
solid.
it doesn't feel imposter syndrome for me. It's like one of those like underrated people who you're like, wow, I didn't know you could have actually like held the title in this way. So even though a lot of people might have been like hoping for Lola Vice, because Lola Vice has been there for a while, I'm not upset that JC Jane ended up retaining. Um, and then also, one of the reasons why we felt that this was going to happen was, one, the whole home field advantage. They like to throw a little trick at us.
Right.
Two, Lola Vice has been getting the upper hand every single time. Every
That's
time she would just backfist JC Jane. And I'm like, this is like the third time she did this. You might think that she would duck or something. So every time she did the upper hand. And then also, Lola Vice had a little bit of an altercation with Lainey Reed in the back, where Lainey Reed was basically saying, she couldn't compete in the Speed
foreshadow.
Champion. So that was instant foreshadowing that we might see some kind of a interference from Lainey Reed. So basically, at the end, and the way they played this out at the end was really good, by the way. Lola Vice was outside of the ring, this hooded figure who they haven't revealed yet,
Right.
comes in, gives her a flying knee. The ref is counting. The ref gets to 9. Lola Vice finally gets in the ring, and she's like, "Oh my god, I'm back." JC Jane gives her a spinning back fist, or like her uppercut or whatever, and
Yeah.
then she pins her for the 1, 2, 3. And it's just basically like, yeah, Lola Vice didn't go out weakly in that match. Really sold her like trying to the end. And one of the things that I found funny was when Fallon came back to celebrate with JC Jane. Fallon was like, "Yeah, you did that, you won." And JC was like, "I don't know how I won, but I did." Like JC Jane really does sell it. Like, hey man, I'm gonna whatever happens happens. I'm still the winner, and that's what I can appreciate, because that's realistic. Like in sports, I'll do a sports analogy really quickly. In sports, our team, we support the Baltimore Ravens, who are going to win the Super Bowl. And basically, whenever there are like penalties that are like in their favor that technically shouldn't be there, I'm like, well, hey, we'll take it. We'll take it. And that's the vibe that I'm getting from JC Jane, rather than just being like, the well, I beat you. She's like, hey man, Lola, you're probably gonna beat me up, and yeah, I got people in my corner. Yeah, I don't win on my own, but guess what? I still freaking win. At the end of the day, if you get the 1, 2, 3, you're the one who wins. So that's what I can appreciate, because it adds a little bit more of like realness to it. So yeah, I really did like this match. I really thought that this match was like my second favorite after the opener.
Like you said, JC Jane was kind of like the third wheel of the group.
Mhm.
And it's crazy, but I know that woman been watching Shawn Michaels. She been watching old tapes of Shawn Michaels matches. And you know what? Every one of her matches are entertaining.
Yes.
Every single one of them.
Mhm.
Like she brings it. She's just solid. She execute her move. She makes the other person look good. She is actually really good. I and honestly, she's not somebody I paid attention to a
Right.
lot because she was kind of the third wheel.
Yeah.
And they saw it in her. They saw something. They know what they had, and she's
Mhm.
carrying that title.
Mhm.
I thought this was the time they were gonna put Lola Vice over because they have her like Lola Vice in a lot of different things,
Right.
you know, being involved. But nah, right person went over. I like this
Mhm.
match. Good on JC Jane.
Mhm. Yes. And then the main event, Ricky Saints versus Obafemi for the NXT Championship. So, honestly speaking, this match was a squashing. Ricky Saints did not get much offense until toward the end of the match. Um, but yeah, like it was just kind of like an obliteration, which I'm not gonna lie, Obafemi is Ricky Saints and a half. Like that's how much bigger Obafemi is, right? So that makes sense. That is how it should be. Obafemi has that big strongman style of wrestling. However, he's also very agile. Obafemi can do stuff from the ropes. He can, you know, take a clothesline. He can really sell a move from somebody who's significantly smaller than him and just make them look good, which sells the match. He doesn't, no offense, but he doesn't do the Goldberg thing and like no sell things when they're not supposed to be no sold. So that's one thing that I can really appreciate about Obafemi. But yeah, Ricky Saints did not get a lot of offense until toward the end or toward like the, I guess, third quarter of this match, where they were kind of doing a lot of the wrestling outside of the ring. One of the key moments was when Obafemi got DDT'd on the announcer's table, which basically that was their way of selling to us that Obafemi was kind of discombobulated and, oh no, like this is like the time where Ricky Saints can really get, his one up. Like this is the time where Ricky Saints has to capitalize. Um After that, Obafemi was still doing a lot of offensive stuff, which you're like, oh, never mind, Obafemi's gonna win this. Then he takes like I think four more DDTs in like different variations. Which at that point, because this is an AEW, after you take 5 DDTs, one of which is on the announcer's table, you probably are gonna lose that match. Regardless of how big you are, what your size is. And I'm not gonna lie, I was surprised when I heard 1, 2, 3 and Ricky Saints was pinning Obafemi. I was very surprised.
I
But
was stunned.
one of the things that I feel like the comparisons that I have is they build Obafemi up like Gunther, right? They build him up like Gunther. However, they still humanize him to make it so he can be beaten. That way, there is a situation where somebody like a Ricky Saints, somebody like a Jey Uso, somebody like a Sami Zayn can still beat them.
Right.
Now, I don't know what this means for Obafemi. I don't know if this is like he's getting the call up. One can only hope, because I mean, we see your background. We already know what's going on. But we've been saying Obafemi is WrestleMania main event material since we freaking saw him. Since he cashed in his Money in the Bank equivalent on Dragon Lee to win that North American title. That was like really when they started to put him on the map and put him on TV more. since that happened, we have been saying that Obafemi is destined for the main roster.
Yeah.
We kind of wanted the Oscar situation where he would lay the belt out, but you know what? Every time I say that, it just reminds me of how special Oscars was. So maybe best to just leave that to like her and nobody
Let
else
her
to
have
do it.
that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm ready for the call up. I think, obviously they opened the door for Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu to have a feud when Drew returns from filming, but Jacob Fatu currently doesn't have nobody to dance with right now. Maybe that's too soon. Sami Zayn does open challenges for that for the US title. Maybe it's too soon, but I'm just saying Obafemi don't got no title in NXT no more, and I don't think that what else does he need to do? He's already had his dance with Trick Williams multiple times and Javon Evans multiple times. I think that match was it for him. I think that was his final match on NXT. I think he's
Yeah.
getting the call up, and boy, would it be so exciting if we heard his music to just in any situation. If we heard his music on the main roster, I think it would just be such an exciting moment.
Yeah. I honestly, it was shocking. I wasn't the biggest fan of the finish. And like you
Okay.
mentioned, he got DDT 5 times, once on a table. So it would probably make sense that it would take all of that.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. A DDT? Like, that's the finish? I mean, and I'm glad, I, I don't know where else you go. If he's not getting a call up, there is nothing else left for him to do
No.
on that main roster, on that NXT roster.
She's had both
So
titles.
I
Yeah.
mean, you see it. This is a WrestleMania match right here.
Yeah.
This is freaking WrestleMania right here.
Mhm.
I don't know whether it's for a title or just who's the baddest dude on the roster. You know, I'm not saying I don't want them to fast track him to one of the world titles. No,
No.
that's an
Marinate it.
easy way to get burnout of a character.
Marinate it. Yeah.
Like, but it's time. It's definitely time. So yeah, I think that the match was the right call. In a way, I kind of thought it was gonna happen, but I wasn't sure because he's been so dominant.
Yeah.
But yeah, right call. It was a solid match,
Mhm.
but the ending was a little flat to me.
Yeah, that's fair. But personally, for me, because of how many matches they had, 6 total matches, 3 of which were women's matches. They did a little bit more of like storytelling with some of the matches. I honestly gave an overall score of an A to this event. I think that it was better than WrestlePalooza. Not necessarily saying that like WrestlePalooza had better moments because it's just the main roster, but
Right.
looking at the event in a holistic kind of way, I think that they NXT does a really great job with like the amount of matches, the amount of women featured on the show, and then also progressing storylines.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, good show. I give it. I would probably give it a B plus.
B plus. Okay.
Probably because of maybe 2 matches bring it down. The main event, which like I said, I felt like
That
that
ending.
ending was flat.
Mhm.
It wasn't as exciting of a world title change.
Mhm.
Like I think if Javon won that world title, a massive moment.
Mhm.
And the speed championship was just
Yeah.
like a NXT match to me. They did progress storyline. They got Lash
Yeah.
involved and Zarya, but yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. I definitely give it notches over WrestlePalooza.
Mhm. Yeah. So now into our topics. So obviously you can see my background. I'm going to be talking about Jade Cargill in this situation. And basically, I mean, what I have a title is Jade Cargill had her the man moment. And honestly, there has been a plethora of criticism for that match on SmackDown because of kind of the way the final sequence of events carried out. What I will say is this: botches happen, mistakes happen. Nobody needs to lose their job over them. I continue to support all of the football athletes, and they make mistakes all of the time. So this happens in wrestling. Now I know it can feel very awkward, and very like, like, especially for people that are not common watchers, they might look at it and it just ruins the brand. But hey, that's how you move on. That's how you move past mistakes. Nobody should lose their job over it. It was a very awkward ending with the ref not completing the count and Nia not kicking out, and the potential of, did Tiffany need to come in earlier? Was Jade supposed to be in that situation? It was a whole thing. That sequence kind of started to really get a little bit, I guess, unorganized and sloppy following Jade getting this major gash on
Yeah.
her face, which again, that also happens too, and I wouldn't fault anybody for that. A lot of people do love to, kind of point the finger at the individual that was, I guess, doing the move that caused it, but nobody is, wanting to intentionally hurt these people.
Right.
I mean, the ironic thing in this situation is that Nia Jax was at the scene of the crime for both of these. But obviously she did not intend to hurt either one of these two women. But enough on that, because I could talk about Nia Jax for 10 minutes. I want to talk about Jade Cargo. Jade Cargo has faced a lot of criticism when it comes to her in ring. Nia Jax actually cut a promo on it. Kind of, how they like to do the whole, like, we're addressing the hate that the haters are saying. So we're going to make the heel say the hate. That way you guys know that it can't be used against us. Jade Cargo has had so much improvement from when she first got here. And I think it is really a lesson to us fans and us consumers to really give people grace when they're starting off. You see a lot of hate being given to uh, whether they be new stars in WWE or NXT stars coming up. And it's like, you have to give them time, because if you're going to sit here and say that Jade Cargill hasn't improved, you're lying. And I think, unfortunately, she had like a inch deep gash on her eyebrow, which is going to affect her
Yeah.
the scarring of her face for a while. It shouldn't take a moment like this for people to actually care about the wrestler, but I really think this should show she was continuing. She did a Samoan drop on Nia Jax while she was gushing blood.
Yeah.
Like, that is
Props.
intense, very intense. I don't know how the final sequence of events was supposed to happen for that match, but regardless, I really do give Jade Cargo her kudos for the amount of improvement that has been done. A lot of people, with the whole situation that happened with Naomi, um, a lot of people were like, "Oh, they had to do that because she can't wrestle and she needed to improve." When she talked about it, she's like, "Yeah, I was really injured for real. Like, I wasn't just like practicing behind the scenes because I didn't want to be on TV. Like, people get injured. Like, people just kind of painted this like weird picture and had these weird expectations for somebody who you know is not gonna be on the same level as people who were WWE bred. So I think this really is a lesson for a lot of us to kind of give grace to newcomers, right? Even people that have been wrestling on different brands before, just understand that WWE is a different ballgame, when it comes to the kind of sports entertainment they do. But
Right.
I think, I have been sold since her that first one-on-one match she had with Tiffany Stratton, that ultimately ended out in a count out. I've been sold on her. I think like her being in the title picture is very fitting. I think that um if they had her win this, I wouldn't have been upset. I know that there are a lot of the naysayers out there that don't want Jade Cargill to be a title holder, but I think she is ready. And these two moments, now nothing is going to be like the man moment because that's her benchmark, but it reminded me of that. It really freaking did. Because she was just at the camera. She's like, "Don't let anybody tell you that I don't care about this business. Don't let anybody tell you that I'm not going to be doing the work." Cause look at that, man. Like, that
Yeah.
that was crazy.
I mean, the key is after, the man got punched in the face, she came out and was cutting some crazy promos.
That's true.
So what is Jade gonna do with this?
That's true.
I mean, her promos now are definitely like A to B to C, but can she
Mhm.
organically capture the fans?
Yeah.
Can she capture that? She's not a catchphrase person, but you don't have to be.
You don't have to.
Becky Lynch isn't a catchphrase person.
Mm-mm.
Like, but it's right there for her.
That's true.
Her matches are definitely good enough to get her
Mhm.
over. She looks like a freaking Marvel superhero,
Yes.
but can she grab the fans after this
Yeah.
moment? Um, yeah, she's a beast. I
Yeah.
really, I mean, having her in a title picture is inevitable.
Yeah.
You have to.
Exactly.
So yeah, this is. I see that. I thought the same thing. I saw this as her coming out type
Mhm.
moment.
Yeah.
Um, and she's had a string of good matches.
Mhm.
And it would be crazy if her star takes off the same way Becky Lynch's took off
Yeah.
because of Nia Jax.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Like you brought up a great point about Becky Lynch capitalizing off of it and not making it just like a 5 minutes of fame. She cut promos about Edge and his injury with his neck. She cut promos towards Triple H and Stephanie. I think she punched Stephanie in the face one time.
yeah,
Like she did some serious. Now, obviously, that goes along with the creative and the booking, but she really did capitalize off of it. Now, I'm not saying Jade Cargill needs to punch Nick Aldis in the face, but I do believe that she should probably give some deep cuts like, no, Nick, this is how I want it. This is how it needs to be. Like that kind of thing. Like really just cutting deep in this is what I want and you got to give it to me because I'm serious about this right now. But my last topic, I kind of touched on it at the beginning of the No Mercy um, review, but Javon Evans. I I have Javon Evans is the Super YN as my title. And honestly,
super.
when Sami Zayn did the open challenge and you heard your boy is bouncy, I was like, no way! Like that's the exciting element of meshing the NXT brand and the main roster brand. And Javon Evans was a perfect person to have a match with Sami Zayn.
Oh
That
my God.
match was such it looked like it was a ballet dance. There was no mistakes, no flaws. It
Sami Zayn.
flowed
I mean,
beautifully. Now, of course, it's Sami Zayn. It's hard to have a bad match with Sami Zayn, but with a dance partner like Javon Evans, who already has such amazing in-ring ability, they just casually gave us a 5-star match, and I'm like, holy crap! And this is what comes out of open challenges when you have somebody like your Sami Zayn who gives open challenges to stars. This is what comes out of that. And Javon Evans just really gives like a feeling of excitement in the midst of this being wrestling, like women's wrestling really being put on the map. I think Javon Evans does really give like, okay, the men's superstars really got somebody that they can, you know, really try to push. Now obviously, he's still very young. I personally want him to hold an NXT title before he holds the main roster title. I just want to see how he dances with that. I want to see how he cuts promos as a title holder in front of the NXT crowd. I just want to see how he can do that. So I think there's plenty of opportunity considering the title holders right now, plenty of opportunity for him to do so. But that match was stellar and just basically I honestly we were saying that I'm like they're in gorilla position basically saying yeah we can't wait for his
yeah,
time because he was just doing so freaking well. So I'm very happy for Lil Bro. The fact that he's doing this well already.
yeah. He absolutely. I'm sure they were looking at that match like, holy crap! Like, yeah, we can't wait to get him up here
Mhm.
because and then, the crowd. It's funny sometimes. Like WWE crowds don't pay attention to NXT all the time. They just look at the main roster. They don't
Mhm.
see NXT, but you see that guy and you're like, yeah, it doesn't even matter. He
Yeah.
steps in a ring and you see him wrestle.
Mhm.
It's just different level.
Yes.
So mad props, happy to see, this young dude from Greensboro,
Mhm.
um, doing his thing, and he is absolutely a champion and possible main eventer, WrestleMania main eventer.
Yes. Yes.
He's that good.
He's
I
that
think
good.
he has the size that they like.
Mhm.
I hate to say this, but I feel like Carmelo Hayes has the Adam Cole type of scenario.
Yeah,
One more foot, he'd be the biggest star on the roster.
100%. Oh my gosh, yeah.
So, but yeah, Javon Hayes.
Mhm.
I
Um,
mean, Evans, the man, the
he's so
man.
good. But yeah, those are my two topics. So I'll pass it over to you for your topics.
So is my topic is right here.
Mhm.
Is right on the screen. Like Paul Levesque, Triple H, the game, the King of Kings, whatever you want to call yourself. You have Brock Lesnar on your roster that's much cheaper. Build this man up, and you have your Brock Lesnar. He's already been that on NXT.
Mhm.
And that's a homegrown talent right there. Brock Lesnar was homegrown, but that's a homegrown talent that you can bring in. You ain't gotta wait, you know. Heck, put him with Paul Heyman. Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
That would
Like,
be insane.
I just think we know the sky's the limit, but it's just the fear of how how do they book him? How are
Mhm.
they gonna book him? Do they know they have a can't miss star? Because we've seen them do it with people. You have a person that's a can't miss, just don't mess it up. Let it be a thing. Let them just let that man's charisma and aura just shine through on you. I'm not saying fast track him to the world title. No, no, you don't want to spoil that yet. But you can definitely have him dominate, and then heck, Royal Rumble.
When
He absolutely got to have the Kane spot where he eliminates 11 people
yeah,
before
absolutely.
they all team up. He got to have that spot.
Mhm.
No question. Because, I mean, like you mentioned earlier, he's athletic and he does the big man. He tells a story. He is perfect. And I think he is the perfect person for Brock to basically pass the torch to. I don't know if he's ready to pass the torch, but WrestleMania match right here.
Mhm. Yeah. It
I don't
really
know. The Saudis loved him some Brock,
yeah,
but
I feel
this is the match.
that would be like one of the matches that Saudi would ask for, honestly. They'll be like, "Oh my God, like oh but like Brock Lesnar inevitably." And hopefully it wouldn't be like a weird like, oh, whoever's just the title at the time, they're like just do it for Brock. Like, that's like one of the things that I'm like mainly afraid of. Um when it comes to this whole Saudi situation, but I feel like Saudi really does love like the big man wrestlers, and I feel like they can really just get a gag out of Obafemi, you know. So I feel like
Yeah,
it's something that they would appreciate and not want to like I guess put a wrench in. But yeah, honestly, like you said it, like it really does sell it for me even more the fact that Obafemi dropped that title to Ricky Saints. I'm like, I mean, he could go on a little bit of a break, have some time with his family and friends, and then I really am expecting him to be, back on the main roster at least during the time of like when we're getting into WrestleMania, like the road to WrestleMania, like that. And I mean, could you imagine? Like, I feel like he would be the reason if they were ever to choose to go to Nigeria, it would be because of him. And they'd be like, yeah, we're gonna have a show in like Lagos or something like that, and he would be the star.
what if it's
Oh,
when we go?
that'd be crazy. Oh
That
my,
would be nuts.
that would
That
be
would be nuts.
insane.
But well,
SummerSlam
that's my
in Vegas.
topic. I wanted to talk about this man because I think he is going to be maybe their biggest star. I
Mhm.
put him, everybody loves Braun Breaker. I like Braun Breaker, but
Yeah.
this man right here, I think, is going to be a multi-time WrestleMania main event guy, multi-time world title holder.
Mhm.
He is your attraction. He
Mhm.
is your potential Brock. I'm telling you, do the right thing, Paul. Do it. But that's the show. What are your opinions on Jade, the man Cargill, Obafemi, and our review of the pay-per-views. Like and comment, subscribe, do all the things. Thanks a lot. Thanks for watching. And DDT is out.
You just can't get up from that.